Great to see you, Peter. Thank you for spending the time with me today. You're the co-owner of Icon Digital Productions. You've got offices in Toronto, Montreal and New York. And we really wanted to speak to you about your views of what's happened in the last 10 years and what's going to happen in the next 10 years. But first of all, can you tell us a little bit about your business and how have the last 18 months been for you?
Sure. We're in the large format space. Actually, we have two divisions now. We started in 1995, Neil, doing large format printing. We got into the business when large format printing was really new, and we thought it was a revolutionary technology to be able to print directly from digital file to final output. Back then, they were 8954 Xerox electrostatic printers. Those were our first machines. And then back in 2009, we acquired a company in the digital signage space because we felt that our macro offering was really a visual communications offering, not so much printing. And we wanted to be all things visual. So we acquired a digital signage company, and that helped us round out our offering. So we have two divisions. We have Icon Visual, which specializes in print. We've since acquired a commercial printing operation. So we have large format digital as well as traditional commercial printing, which is augmented by some small format digital. And then we have Icon Media, which is our digital signage division, which handles digital signage. And together we sort of call things all things visual. And that's our mantra, helping clients communicate better visually, whether it be static print or digital. In the last 18 months, 18 months has been really challenging. Back in March, I think 2020 was when COVID first hit, and almost everything was shut down immediately in Toronto as well as New York, which are the two major markets we service. And we immediately had to pivot into something different. I hate to use that word pivot, it's so cliche now, but we laid off over 125 people in one day. So we were about 240 strong, and we laid off 125 people in one day, and it was heartbreaking. It's my business with two other partners, and there were a lot of tears, a lot of upset people, including myself, and we couldn't even hug anybody. So it was a really tough day for us, but it was a decision that we absolutely needed to make in order to make sure we had a company for people to come back to. We really viewed all of those layoffs as temporary layoffs. We rest assured everybody that this is not something that's going to last too long. Obviously, it lasted longer than we thought it would, but things recovered, reasonably quicker than we thought. We thought it was going to be a full year. We were able to bring people back in about 6 months. Not everybody, but slowly bring everyone back. We had folks on wage reductions. We were able to restore those. And really the success came from a couple of things. We pivoted into PPE materials. One big lifesaver for us was having great access to a plastics supply chain, because we produce so much printed work on plastics, things like Lexan and polycarbonate materials. We're able to secure a lot of clear material that was needed for face shield production. And that seemed to be a real hot product at the time. We work with a number of quick serve restaurants, retailers, and other folks in the healthcare space that were clamoring for that type of product. It was hard to get those face shields. So we really turned our company into a face shield assembly line. We were still doing some of our traditional business. The digital signage side of the business seemed to stay relatively steady just because the purchasing decisions are so much further along on that. But anything immediate for retail, sports, in-store, large format print production really dropped off. So we turned our large format division into a face shield production manufacturing facility using Zun cutters, glue, elastic bands, and being able to really put together a pretty formidable assembly line of face shield production. And that tied us over for a little while. We were also able to import some goods. We do import quite a few goods from China, and we found some great suppliers that had PPE equipment we could get quickly and resell to some of our partners. So that helped augment our business during those really, really tough times. But yeah, it was a real challenge. It was our small format division stayed reasonably okay because direct mail seemed to be a big thing at the time. With everybody working at home, brands were looking to communicate to their customers and potential new customers via direct mail because it got to people. Whereas office traditional communication and as well as retail visual communication was, obviously fallen right off. So that those kinds of things helped sort of stave off, the real challenges we had at the time. And then again, at 6 months in, we really started to see a bit of a recovery. The Canadian government offered a pretty generous wage subsidy program to encourage employers to bring back people where they were able to help pay for some of the wages. So that really helped us bring more people back. But we certainly have learned a lot, and we're happy to say that we're getting closer to full strength now. And this is going to be a chapter that I don't think anybody's ever going to forget. That's for sure.
And you work in a variety of different sectors with regard to retail and those things. What sectors do you think that are really going to bounce back once you're investing your money in? What are you focusing on?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're starting to see already a lot of the sectors we play in come back pretty hardcore, which is great. I mean, you're looking at sports, right? I mean, in the UK, you've got, up to 10,000 fans back, and that's going to change and get bigger. And in the United States, in New York, I think they're up to 80% fans back in buildings. You're looking at sellouts happening at most sports venues, which is amazing for us and amazing, obviously, for the teams. So there's a lot of excitement to get back to live entertainment. We play in the concert live music business as well, and we're seeing any glimpse of ticket sales getting snapped up really quickly. So we feel that anything live is going to come back. Retail, it's summertime here, so retail is traditionally not crazy strong, but I think there's a fair amount of pent up demand. I think there's people that want to get back into stores. When we had a little bit of reprieve in the lockdown several months ago, the malls were quite busy. So I think we're going to see retail come back. There's some things you just don't buy online. People want to try on clothes, people want to get out, and we're hoping retail is going to come back and bounce back in a big way. I think experiential marketing too as well. There's been so much science based on outdoor activities being safe and being in a good weather season right now. I think we're going to see a lot of activity with brands trying to activate in outdoor venues, whether it be alongside some kind of outdoor events or just public spaces. I think we're going to see that come back pretty strongly. And health and beauty obviously stayed reasonably strong through this pandemic, but is going to continue to progress, and we have a lot of clients in that space as well.
And the last 10 years or so, I mean, I've been at FESPA for 10 years. You've been in the industry for a lot longer, though you look younger, which is annoying. But either way, the simple thing is, what do you think the last 10 years, the trends that you've seen the last 10 years which have changed your business?
Yeah, I mean, on the printing side, on the large format side, I guess it's hard for me, obviously, to sort of look at the chronology of what exactly happened in 10 years. I can say that UV printing technology, that might be a little older than 10 years, was a pretty big revolution for us. We were always fighting the speed game. We had great quality printers before UV curing technology came around. We had a lot of capacity in terms of equipment and a good size manufacturing facility. But we're always hamstrung and bottlenecked by the drying side of fast, large format digital printing. And when UV curing came along, that was a massive boon to us, being able to literally, print things very, very quickly and put them in a box just as fast without waiting for things to dry. That was a big change for us. I'd like to say the advent of automation with digital cutters was a big thing for us. We had fast equipment, but where the bottleneck was also on the finishing side. So although things like Zund and Kongsberg and those types of digital cutting equipment have been around for a long time, they've made a lot of strides in terms of speed and automation and ease of use. So I think that's helped a lot. Also, fabric dye sublimation is a big thing for us now. It didn't used to be, and I always watched the trends in Europe. It looked like dye sublimation was took on a real life of its own many, many years ago in Europe, but really didn't gain that much momentum in North America until recently. I think it's had to do with the sustainability piece, the ease of shipping, the ability for store people to use the product and be able to install the product versus professional installation. So we're seeing a pretty big growth in dye sublimation. I think that's been a big trend for us in the last 10 years. Latex is pretty exciting too. We play in that business. So the HP latex equipment with HP latex inks, that's been an interesting machine for us to be able to do a lot of new things and different things. So on the large format side, I think that those are the key things. In terms of sort of our overall business, the advent of digital signage and the growth in that space, content creation and production for digital has been very big for us.
So you talk about Europe. I mean, you're over the other side of the Atlantic. You're in Canada. You're obviously in the North American market. What's your view of the European market? You come to FESPA shows quite a lot. What do you learn from the European market, or are there things which you think that your market could show the Europeans?
Yeah, well, definitely. I love all the sustainability that you have in, I think Europe has been, far ahead of North America in terms of being able to come up with creative solutions that use sustainable products. I think there maybe because of the density of Europe and the cost to move things around, the cost to dispose of things, maybe you've been forced a little more or quicker to look at those ways. But I'm always amazed when I go to the FESPA shows to be able to see suppliers that have come up with really innovative products. I'm often frustrated that I can't get them in North America yet. Some of the new really innovative types of materials don't have North American distribution. And in another life, maybe I'll be a distributor and go to these shows and pick up amazing lines and sell them because I've seen some really inspiring stuff. But that's a big one for me in terms of what I see. Obviously, there's been a big shift in print technology moving to Europe. So when we first got in the game, most of the large format digital print suppliers, the machine manufacturers, were in North America, primarily the United States. And we've seen a lot in the last 10, 15 years. A shift to fantastic European manufacturers, suppliers of equipment. So that's been a big one. And FESPA, like the collaboration is great at those shows. When I go to Europe and I'm able to connect with people that I know, colleagues of mine, or make some new friends and learn about some of the trends that are happening in Europe and seeing how we can maybe get ahead of the curve and start to adopt some of those trends in North America before our competitors get at them.
Okay, and you talked about digital signage. I think you're one of the only businesses that I know of that actually bought a digital signage business to complement what you do currently. Tell us a little bit more about that business and how it differs from your traditional business.
Yeah, sure. So, when we saw when everybody got flat screen televisions in their basement and put flat screen monitors on their desk, we really thought we ought to get into this because we had a very big following, a very big client base of beauty clients that had traditional light boxes. We produced a ton of transparencies using digital photographic equipment, primarily light jet. So the first sort of threat we saw was these light boxes that we produce transparencies for are now going to turn into flat screen televisions, and we ought to get into that before it eats our lunch. We investigated trying to take it on ourselves, and we felt that the best route to take would be to acquire a company. Back in 2009, digital signage was really in its infancy. We bought, a company with a great group of minds that were sort of running out of friends and family money and could benefit from being part of a larger organization. Also being able to cross-sell some services to our print clients was a big reason for this acquisition. And it's funny, when I talk to a lot of folks in the printing space, especially large format, and they see digital as, such a competing type of product or service. And it is in a sense, but it's really very complementary. And we got into digital signage not because we felt that we were going to unplug all of our printers and ink was going to go away. We got into it because it really complemented large format printing, and being able to lead in with digital signage also helps you cut through the clutter of a lot of your competitors that are peddling traditional large format print, which most of our clients or most potential prospects have a bona fide vendor for. So when you're able to lead with the combination of being able to offer both digital as well as static, and there are ways that they work together incredibly well. Digital is fantastic, obviously, because you can change content, you've got motion graphics, you're connected via internet, but it's expensive, especially in large sizes. So when we complement static, traditional large format printing with digital signage features or applications, we can create a really big wow effect for our clients. And I think that a lot of large format printers that are sort of putting their toes into the digital space or thinking about it need to understand the complementary nature of the two types of mediums versus sort of being scared of it or trying to take a position to convince clients away from digital, because there are ways that they can work together in a miraculous way, and we're really excited about that. And that's going to continue to improve. And it drives print sales. I mean, if you're doing a digital signage network in a store, you're obviously working with a very forward-thinking client. And they're not going to stop at just some digital features. They're going to want to dress up a space and make it look really inviting. And I think right now that is the time, especially if you're in a retail environment where you have retail clients. I mean, you've got to create an impressive, immersive experience for customers. Otherwise, people are going to just shop online. So retailers are looking to change the way their stores look, and digital and static have some dramatic, amazing ways that they can work together.
And you're a member of FESPA Direct, so you're, of course, a member of FESPA. What advice would you give? We've got 16,000 members around the world in hundreds of countries, and they want to find out how do they incorporate digital signage into their business. What words of advice would you give them?
Well, I mean, the good news now is that it's become quite ubiquitous, and there's so much information out there, and so many great case studies of applications, both done very well and ones where there have been challenges. So, when we were first in this space, we were cutting our teeth on so many projects, and now is a great time to get in because you're able to, see what other companies have done. You're able to take a look at different work. There are so many amazing new vendors of digital technology when it used to be confined to just a couple. So my advice would be just to absorb and to learn and to really do your homework and to understand your clients, understand, how digital can integrate into whatever business verticals that you're working in, versus what you don't want to do is you don't want to just, sort of take it on and, and be able to sort of open up your jacket and say, yeah, we've got digital as well. Like you've really got to set it up as its own separate sort of entity or division. The sales team needed to sell digital is often different than the static printing folks. So having a group of real experts that can understand the technology, it's a business that, as from a business development standpoint, you do need to be a little bit tech savvy, actually sometimes quite a bit tech savvy. So there's a lot to be learned on the technology side, but it's a visual communications tool, right? It's something that creates an impact that drives customers and drives traffic and excites people and hopefully creates some impulse sales and is able to get people to increase their share of or their size of basket, which is the coveted word in retail or any point of sale business.
And so it's clear that you're at the cutting edge. What's happening in the next 10 years in our market?
I think you're going to see again more the melding of digital and print. We've seen a real resurgence on the commercial side, small format in the direct mail, and I think that's going to continue. It's really funny. It's when you think 10 years ago or even longer, you used to get something in the mail and toss it immediately. But if an email came, you'd be glued to your computer to look at who emailed you and what it was. And now it's almost the opposite. Now it's emails become so spam-like sometimes it gets tuned out. But when you get something delivered to you, especially if it's unique and creative, you really want to take a look at it. So the whole physical has made a resurgence. So I think we're going to see more of that. Creative ways to communicate to customers. We're doing direct mail that has digital features in it. You can acquire small short-term use battery operated screens and put it into printed material so that when you open up that piece of direct mail, it speaks to you. It can even be customized to say, "Hi Neil, how you doing? I understand you're in the car market. Here's our wonderful new Toyota Corolla." Or whatever you're interested in. So there's ways that digital can be integrated into small format, obviously into large format. I think in the future for printing, especially in the large format space, sustainability is a huge thing. Being able to reuse or recycle materials. We're finding a massive trend for us to produce graphics that can be installed by store people. So the whole professional installation piece that used to dominate most of our work, we're finding going away. Most of our clients are interested in changing the look and the feel of their spaces often. So we're working with a lot more short-term removable materials than we ever did before. Sort of gone are the days of us, talking to clients and them asking us about 5 to 7 year warranties on large format printed products. Nothing's up for even 5 months anymore, never mind 5 to 7 years. Clients want to be able to transform a space. They want to be able to remove things cleanly. They hopefully want their visual folks or their store operations people to be able to install graphics now, because professional installation across campaigns that happen once every 12 months instead of once every quarter just isn't cost effective anymore. So that's a big trend we're seeing. Obviously, speed is something that's important. Things continue to go quicker and quicker. And the needs of clients and the demands continue to shorten turnaround time. So I don't think that's going to change. Sometimes we create our own problems by saving the day for one project, and then that 24-hour turnaround or less becomes the norm. I don't think that's going to change. A good thing we're seeing out of the print equipment now is the color consistency and the repeatability side. So we used to lose so much time with trying to match colors and sending out proofs and getting clients to come here during press checks or repeating projects that don't match the last project. Now that's all fallen away. which has been a great trend for us on the manufacturing efficiency side.
We've got, so as you know, we're interviewing 5 luminaries from the print world. You're the representative of North America. I've spoken to Alberta, who's from Italy. What sort of questions would you like me to ask them, or things that you want to know?
Mainly it's what they're seeing in their markets, I think, is important, because, things have gotten so global that we work with a lot of brands that are obviously not always North American headquartered. Some might be headquartered in Brazil. We could be headquartered in South Africa, Europe. So being able to understand perhaps what some of their customers are doing, where we have crossover, where we're working with the same customer with their North American counterparts, what sort of some of those trends that are maybe emanating from the headquarters, because obviously they often start there, where a big brand will sort of test ideas or things to do out of their headquarters and then push it out to the other regions, all the other countries. So some of that would be really useful. Also, one thing this whole COVID thing has helped everybody do, whenever there's a reset economically, obviously this is a gigantic reset, you're able to really look internally. When you're in a growth mode and when the markets are good and things are growing, you just end up piling resources on top to fix problems, right? Let more people, more equipment, let's get more space. We need to accommodate this demand. This is all great. And often you see, your top line growing, and then your profitability, either staying the same or decreasing as a percentage of sales. And, why is that? Well, it's perhaps you're overspending, or you're not really thinking things through as clearly as you would when you have the time, which everybody has now, to really sit and take a look at, how you produce things, what your time and motion is like on your manufacturing, how many bodies really do you need to get the job done? All of those things. So being able to have so much time on our hands, nobody traveling, having our whole executive leadership team internally, and being able to look at all the ways we can lean ourselves out, so that when we do pile on the resurgence of business, we're going to operate leaner and cleaner and stronger than before. So I feel that when you speak to those other folks in the other regions, they're probably going to have had a similar experience. And I'd love to hear, some questions being asked as how have they sort of set up their company, or what are the learnings that they have gotten from this slowdown in terms of being able to make their business run smoother, more profitable, and more efficiently. And I think that everybody has had to look at those things to do, and I think you're going to find some real creative ideas when you speak to everybody.
It's quite fascinating. You said exactly the same thing that Alberto said as well in Italy from Macedotti, really? And he was saying really clearly that it's given him time to reset. And so the future for him is looking very energized and focused. Would you say the same thing? I mean, what words would you say to describe the future of your company?
Yeah, we're pretty buoyant on what's going on. Obviously we love the fact that there's light at the end of the tunnel with this disease, but we've had some staff here really step up, and we've really sort of been able to test our mettle here, and perhaps we haven't realized just what kind of a team we have, and being put to all these challenges. We had obviously friends laid off. We had people that were here on wage reductions that were needed to work as hard or twice as hard as they did before because of lack of staff. We had customer service folks, we had salespeople, working face shield assembly lines, right? So we've seen, we've been tested, we've risen, and we've seen just how strong we can be. This sounds super cliche, but we've got a great group of folks here that have put their hand up and been able to really shine through this whole thing. So the fact that we've been able to deal with what we've dealt with, emotionally, financially, mentally, and seeing things open up has given us a ton of faith as to what we can achieve when conditions are a whole heck of a lot better, which we feel is right around the corner. So yeah, we're happy, and we feel like we're going to emerge stronger out of this.
I'd completely mirror you. I'd say the same about the FESPA team, is that you realise your strengths when you're in adversity, and I think that's what it's shown to us over the last 18 months or so. So, Peter, thank you for your time. It's great to hear from you, and I hope you do really well in the coming year.
Thanks a lot, Neil. Thanks for all your support with FESPA over this time, and really looking forward to getting back to the FESPA events.
Great stuff. Cheers, Peter.